Today I am coming to you making this video with a very heavy heart. um, I was actually watching a friend of mine on YouTube and just got inspired to make my own video. I'm not in the best spirits right now, so hopefully I'm not like a Debbie Downer watching this video, but I am sad, which is such a rare occasion for me because I try really to not let anything get me down. But the life update is that I am back once again here at my mom's, and my boyfriend and I broke up, and if you know me personally, then you know him, and yeah, it's been a pretty sad ordeal. We were together a little under a year, so I know, it's kind of like, okay, cue the tiny violin, but it was a big deal for me. I'm very particular and very specific and choosy. I'm very picky. So I have spent the past 29, okay, I can't say 29 years because I wasn't dating when I was a baby, but at least 10 years since I was 19, dating and going out with guys and stuff like that. And I never had a boyfriend, a legitimate boyfriend, because it was just where I could tell like there's no future in this, or they weren't serious or whatever. It was like situationships and stuff like that, but never to where I genuinely was like, hey everybody, this is my boyfriend. So maybe I'm late to the party. I know a lot of people have had relationships since they've been like in high school, but that wasn't the case for me. And then having my daughter, like, it just further solidified the idea of not just jumping into anything with anybody, because I did not want to just introduce her to anybody and just kind of, just be like that girl. And it's whatever. This is not to like dog on anybody who has serial dated. I know we're all looking for love out here, which is, kind of like the purpose of this video, and hence the title. So this is no shame on anybody who like has had a lot of relationships, but just for me, I just never did. And then having my daughter further pushed me to like wait and really be serious about who I pick as my partner. So yeah, we met, which I felt was like serendipitous. We met like at a time where I would have normally been like at work, and yeah, we met and we just like kind of started talking and we hit it off, I guess we'd like to think. And yeah, so we just tried to be together, and it was a whirlwind of emotions, and I guess what people might consider love bombing these days, but it didn't feel like that. I don't think that, and it's not like I'm saying he was doing that. I would say both of us were love bombing. Like, I think that I've had a lot of time to really sit back and think about this past year of my life that I've spent with him. And I think that at that point in life, you're so eager, and you may feel this at 17. Like, it's not to say like you get older, but I would say the older you get, you start to kind of be like, okay, well, is it going to happen for me? Am I going to find love? And for me, I was not looking, and I was like, oh, I just, I get to go out and go and have dinner or whatever. And so I was never like adamant on like finding like my person, because I was just like, I just really didn't think I had one. So to meet Paul, like, I think was like a possibility that I hadn't really given a lot of light to, and it was like a fantasy, and I think he felt the same way. And so I think in the end, we kind of chose to look past like major issues that were already there from the beginning, because we were so wanting to love and be loved. And so sadly, those issues over the course of the year really just were insurmountable. We did have good times, and we did have our laughs, and like we had things that, kept us obviously going for a year, but there were things that also like were just so big that it was kind of like, how do we ever see eye to eye on this? And we're not just talking about right now, but we're talking about like, we're supposed to be, the intention is, till death do you part, which is, the promise we'll eventually make to each other. And it's kind of like, can we live with that for the next however many years? And obviously there's no guarantee that you will live, 50 years with somebody. you know, you may not live that long, but assuming you will and hoping for the best, you would hope that you are friends with your partner. And it really just, that wasn't happening for me. So I share all that to kind of get into how it's given me a chance to think and, you know, pick apart like, well, why was I going at it for so long? Why was I trying so hard? And why was he trying so hard? And I think I've broken it down to, you know, a few things. Number one thing is the desire to love and be loved. When you yearn for something like that, if you feel like you even have a chance at it, you go after it. And I think that's why it's so confusing sometimes, because you'll see people being abused or people just in a toxic relationship, and you're like, what are you doing? And it's so easy to look at them from your seat and be like, how are they acting like that? But to be in it, it's so different, because I think I would say that people might observe what I was going through, and I think the people in his life, and kind of could see like, you know, you're not being yourself, or you don't seem super happy all the time, and like, what's going on? This is supposed to be like a blissful time when you're in love. And I think it's like, he and I both come from broken families, and I think that wanting so desperately to not repeat that, and then not just not wanting to repeat what others did in our lives, but also just wanting to be accepted by someone and accept someone. Like, those coupled together really motivated us, and I can say it motivated me. But the thing that was unfair, that I think that I really wanted to make this video for, is that I did not know myself well enough. And I think it wasn't until being coupled with someone else where it was kind of like those questions were brought up in me that I didn't even really ask myself ever. That's when I was able to learn about myself and learn like what my non-negotiables are, and learn like, oh, like I'm not okay with that, and I'm never gonna be okay with that. And that's okay. And I think even just being confident in what you are okay with and what you're not okay with is a self-discovery that like so many of us don't do or don't experience. And I honestly, I'm thankful for this time with him, because I don't think that had it happened, I would have done that research on myself. But there was a lot of things that I think I tried to like mirror, like so that it would work. And I really think that he did the same thing, where it's like, instead of standing your ground and being like, this is just me, this is what I like and what I don't like, I need a person that aligns with that. If you're not that person, like that sucks moving forward. But because I think we were so desperate to love and be loved, we just chose to be like, well, I don't like these things. I don't want these things for myself. I don't want these things for the person I'm partnered with in life. But, you know, hey, I can get over it. And hey, I can adapt. I can change who I am. I can learn to not be like that anymore. And as selfish as it may sound, like there are some things about you that make up who you are. And I think we're so caught up in like, am I accepting? Am I forgiving? Am I loving? That it's so easy to become like nothing, like you're a shell of yourself, because you're so worried about not accepting another person and not being forgiving of another person. And yes, 101%, it is irrefutable that you should forgive, because everyone has their quirks and their flaws and their issues and their shortcomings, and like everybody does, and we all need grace for that. So I don't believe in just like being this stuck up person who's just like, you better be the way I want you to be, and have your nose turned up at everybody. However, I also do not believe through this experience that you should lay down what you want out of life, what you want out of your significant other, because you want to be agreeable. Like at the end of the day, you are you, and either you will resent them because they are not who you want them to be, or you will resent yourself and you will have regrets because you didn't speak up for yourself. There's only so much you can accept at some point. Friendship is built on likes. Friendship is built on commonality and like getting along with a person. And there's a reason why there's like cliques, right, in school, where it's just like, okay, these people hang out with these people, and these people hang out with these people. And even the people who were like, oh, I hung out with everybody, like they still had their like tight friends that they got along with more. So yeah, you can tolerate anybody, you can accept anybody, you can be nice and kind to anybody, but we're talking about life partnership with someone. So trying to be kind and just like, oh, okay, I'll get over it, like that's only going to work for so long. 100% in a relationship, you are going to have to like swallow your pride sometimes. You are going to have to like lay down your desires sometimes and be like, okay, let's go with what you want to do, because otherwise you're like just a dictator and you're like a narcissist. So yeah, 100% I don't believe like just it's got to be your way, but it's about minimizing the amount of things that you are disagreeing on. And I think when you have compatibility with your person, there's not a lot of stuff you're not going to agree on. And that's how, to me, you can pick a good life partner. So I think our desire to love and be loved has us looking past those things a lot. Like we look past how that makes us feel. We look past something in a person that we just do not like. And it may be a lot of things, but because that person's showing up, we're like, well, who am I? Like, I can't argue it. And then there comes a point where you have so much self-doubt, you don't trust your judgment. That gut feeling where you're like, should it be like this? Am I supposed to be feeling like this? And where the answer is legitimately, no, you're not. You start to second guess and question, and you're like, I don't know. Like, no, maybe I shouldn't even be thinking that. Like, oh, well, everybody has their, and it's like, stop trying to reason with yourself. You're driving yourself insane. I'm saying all that, but it's like, that is how I was feeling. It just comes to, and I know that he was feeling that way, where it's just like, there was so much where it's just like, at the end of the day, the root of the problem was that I was just not the person for him. And he wasn't the person for me. But we loved each other, and we loved the idea of loving. And we loved the idea of family, because ours was broken. And so because of that, we fought for the union of two people, even though it was incompatible. And I think that so many of us do that. And I have so many girlfriends, and even my guy friends, where it's like, you have this person where you're kind of like, I don't like that they do this. I don't like that they do this. I don't like that they do this, and this. And it's kind of like, oh, well, okay, so what do you like about them? And so many marriages even that I am privy to, where they don't really seem to like their spouse, but it's kind of like, well, we've got kids, and we got the mortgage, and it's like, at that point, it's like the saying, like, it's cheaper to keep her. Like, at that point, it's like, you explain away your true feelings because you feel like obligated at this point to stick it out and be committed. I'm saying, whatever works in that relationship, you know, do you. I'm not here to like Dr. Phil anybody's relationship. But I will say, for me, this life is not long enough for us to second guess everything and go into things settling, or go into things not genuinely feeling fulfilled, but just, okay, well, you know, lightning might not strike twice, and it didn't strike the first time. I'm sorry, but it's like, I see so many relationships where I see that the person is unhappy, but I also see that there's so much mixed up into it. And good God, can we go back to the old days of not having sex before marriage? Because it is such a judgment clouder. Like, it makes you so confused on like what you should do, because your spirit and soul are like tied up with this person now. So you're like, so even if it were a clear decision, or even if it were a hard decision to make on its own, now you have your like emotions tethered to it. So now you're just like genuinely confused and lost. Like, am I overreacting? Should I stay? Should I go? I don't even know. Now you have your kids. Like, it's literally too much. And I think that there is an initial feeling, a gut feeling that I know I had, where it's almost like, don't even turn over that stone. Where I kind of knew there were not enough things to give us a bond, but because this person was adamant about being with me and I was adamant about being with them, we genuinely chose to ignore those things. Like, at the end of the day, the emotions and heartbreak and sadness aside, like, we genuinely chose to ignore that there were like foundation issues. And like, a house with a faulty foundation like can't stand. So I think I just wanted to affirm in whoever is watching this that it's really normal, I think, to try to make something work, even though there is an intuition in all of us, not just female intuition. There is a gut sense, I believe, in everyone when you know something is right or wrong. And I think because you may not want that feeling to be true, you begin to cloud your own judgment. You begin to question and second guess. But things are really cut and dry in life. And I think that, you know, he and I just had a mutual severing of the relationship where it was kind of like, where can we go from here? Like, we don't have anything in common. And it was sad because it was like, but I love you. And it's like, I love you. You know, why can't that be enough? But it's like, at the end of the day, life partnership with a person, I believe, is not about you just feeling lonely. Like, you can't be. Because you're choosing to intertwine your life and your mind with another person. Like, it's not a game, and it's not, you know, it's not something you do. It's not entertainment. It's not something you do because you don't want to be alone. You're tired of being alone. Like, you're talking about this is going to be your best friend. This is going to be closer than a child, because your child is like, it's happening and it's a part of you. This is someone you're choosing to pick, that otherwise you don't have to. There is no obligation other than your word. And there has to be a bond. So a big part of why I made the decision was that I saw a handful of couples, and you may know who you are, maybe you don't, but you can ask me, I'll tell you. But I saw a handful of couples during the duration of my relationship that, even though I don't know their entire story, I don't know what they've gone through, I don't live in their home, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, at least from the multiple encounters I've had with these couples, there are some where I can see they are genuinely best friends. And I have to tell you, you gotta be best friends with your person. That's not a guarantee. That is not to say this person is not gonna flip the switch on you and be a psycho. Like, there's no guarantees in life, but as much as you can try to guarantee something, make sure you are best friends with your person. Because a good friend of mine, and I will even shout her out, Melissa, thank you so much, but she told me that on the days when there isn't the ooey gooey lovey romantic side, there is like, and like is the glue. And I know that they say that, right, that there's like, oh, like, you know, sex is the glue in a marriage or whatever like that. I'm like, you can have sex with anybody. You really can. I mean, sex should be a bond. It should be the most intimate, precious thing, and it can be. But really, you're not having sex every day in a marriage. Like, that's just not happening. Like, you really aren't. I mean, I guess some people do. I don't think that they sustain that, though. But I'm like, liking someone like that doesn't get old. Think about when you were like a kid and you had a friend and you just like loved it, and there was no sex involved. It's just your friend and you like them. Like, you really like this person. You're like, that person is so cool. Like, they're so funny. They're so XYZ. They're like me. Like, they like the stuff I like. They do the stuff I do. They think the way I think. Like, you like them. That driving force to me is what keeps a relationship and a marriage going, because you're not always going to be feeling hot and heavy and like, yeah, and there's not always going to be romance, and there's not always going to be just like easy going. But if you guys can make each other laugh, and you guys can talk, and you guys can be like, oh, and stay up all night, like, you are golden. And anybody can endure a relationship. Like, that People do that all the time, and they live the most unfulfilling lives. And they're miserable. And I know people like that. I know people who stayed married till the day they died and they were not satisfied because they were like, well, you know, perhaps you aren't going to have someone. And I think that reality is what makes people like, well, I'll just go with this. Like, this is good enough. Hey, she does this for me, so hey, he does that for me, so, you know, maybe he doesn't check this other long list of boxes, but, you know, he's got these going for him. She's got these going for her, so hey. Guys, no. We're not talking about a job or, you know, a hobby that you can just kind of pick up and, okay, I'll just switch it up. Like, we're talking about life partnership with someone. Choosing, when you say that, I do, like, choosing to spend the rest of your life with somebody. Like, it's not really wrong to be picky about that. And I think that so many kids, God, I speak as one, coming from that kind of family. Like, for the love of God, do your children a favor and stop settling or being like, well, this is good enough. Create a family from two people who really like each other so that children can see that. Like, man, my parents really like each other. They respect each other. You don't treat your friends like crap. If you do, you're just a crappy person, right? And you don't really have any real friends. You may have people who tolerate you, but you don't have any real friends. But if you love your friend, it's really a no-brainer. Like, all that other stuff, it's like, you don't have to learn how to do it. You don't have to learn how to do it. Like, it's pretty easy. Now, yeah, you have to learn how to be more romantic or speak in your person's love language or whatever. But when you like somebody, like, it's pretty easy. It's not something you have to like study how to do. You just like them. Like, at the end of the day, you just like them and they just like you, and it's that simple. So if we could have that initially when we get into a relationship, like, I really feel like we could make relationships last, and we could go back. I don't even want to say go back. We could start, you know, a generation where there is love. Because I do think that there's a lot of relationships where it's like they weren't really happy, but, you know, it's this Great Depression time and it's kind of like, well, whatever, and there's like abuse and there's disrespect and there's just, it's terrible. But it's kind of like, well, what else are we gonna do? We're not gonna succeed if we don't stay together, whatever. But we are in a time where we have been afforded so much opportunity, even in our relationships, where we can think. So be thoughtful, and pick someone who fits your personality and someone who makes you feel good about yourself and makes you feel like you can be yourself. And I'm so urging everyone, like, don't make the mistake of not trusting yourself and your gut, not trusting God when He's giving you obvious signs. Don't let your pride or your ego get in the way. Don't let, oh, well, I'm not listening to them. I'm not listening. Like, just no, like, this is actually good advice here. If you feel a check in your spirit, if it is a battle, if there is constant tears or constant anger and fighting, it is not right. There will always be some degree and some level of disagreement between two people. We're human beings. Read the Bible. There's always disagreements among people, no matter whether you love them or not. But we're talking about a union where you should minimize the amount of things that there is to disagree on and that there is to not like each other on. So yeah, like, you know, if you love to dance, don't get with somebody who hates dancing, but because, you know, they're nice. If you love to eat healthy, don't get with somebody who couldn't give a crap less and eats junk every day and thinks it's stupid to even watch what you eat. But hey, they're what? Great. But that's going to make eventually you resent them and you resent the situation because you're going to want them to get on board with your mindset. And you are ultimately dating someone's mind. You are ultimately linking with someone's mind. You're agreeing with their mind, or you're not. And I can tell you right now, it makes for a very unhappy home when you do not agree with somebody's mind. And it's not to say that, you know, those things don't shift, but I would say that from my experience, I have seen a lot of people doing what I personally did in this relationship, which is being a chameleon and kind of not being authentic and not being exactly true to what I like unapologetically because I want it to work. Well, ultimately, you can't keep that up forever. And so then over time, over months of us living together, I couldn't keep it up, and my true colors began to show, and it's like, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't do that. And after a while, it's kind of like, for him, it's kind of like, okay, well, I do like that. I do want that. I do that. So what are we supposed to do here? And then there was a whole lot of like trying to change the other person to get on board. And no, you should be wanting it like this. No, you should be wanting it like this. Or, well, I don't like that. I don't think that's right. I don't like that. I don't think that's right. And it's just like, the fact of the matter is like, we do not have the same mindset. We do not believe in life the same way. And there's nothing wrong with the way he believes in life or the way I believe in life. It's just a misalignment. We weren't friends. We just wanted to love and be loved. So that is the sad truth and reality. It's heartbreaking, I think, because the fantasy of family and a relationship it's not that it's gone, but it's obviously back on the shelf or back in dreamland. And I think that sucks because it's like this, it was so tangible that for it to be gone is like sad. And I think that it doesn't help that it's kind of like raining outside, so I'm kind of just like, okay, great, like cue the like emotions. Sorry, I gotta drink some water. Have you had water today? But yeah, so it's sad. I think it was something that I like put out of my mind so much that I really honestly didn't even consider it for myself. It's almost like, thinking you're gonna win the lottery. Like I was like, it's just like, okay, I guess that'd be nice if that happened, but I really doubt it ever would. So for it to kind of have like, I was like playing house and like for it to have happened a little, and now to like abandon that idea all over again, it's just like, it sucks. And I think spending time with this person for so long, you do develop love for that person. I mean, you are close with that person. So I think it's also like the idea of like, oh gosh, to just let that go, wipe that away from my mind, pretend like that didn't happen, or whatever you do when you break up with someone. I don't know, first time for me, so we'll see how that goes. But it just sucks. It just sucks to even put your mind somewhere else. And it's kind of like, I have friends, being like, oh girl, like, don't worry, you're gonna find somebody else, you're a catch. And I'm like, it's not even like that though. It's like, it's just back to what I said. It's not even a game. It's not a game. Like, I'm not feeling like, okay, like, who are my possible suitors now? Like, I didn't even really put myself in that position ever. So like, to now do it and now feel like I got vulnerable with someone and opened up with someone, like I wanted it to be them. So now it's like, okay, screw all of that. I guess I'll go do that exact same thing, copy and paste, in terms of like opening up and vulnerability and stuff with a new guy. It's just weird. So for me, it's single girl summer, but I am just focused on healing right now and working. I need to give my daughter a good life. I want to give my daughter a good life, and she is a shining star. So really, I feel like I have enough to focus on for the next 11 years until she's 18. And even when she's 18, even then she'll probably still want me around, I hope. And so I'll have time to think about her even more as a young adult. So yeah, man, it's not far away. Only 11 years until she's 18. What? So all in all, I wanted to just tell you that it is so normal to want to love and be loved. I think it is human nature, but perhaps if you choose to embark on that journey of love in terms of a romantic relationship, please, if you can possibly ensure any amount of success, right? Because there are no guarantees, but to try and hedge your bets a little bit. Try to be with someone you like, that likes you. Not somebody tolerating you, not somebody who can get over it and kind of accept, and not you doing that for them either. But someone who is your friend. God, like, more than anything, I wish that for you and for me. Just someone who is my friend. You guys remember Titanic? Sad ending. I know, probably not the best thing to bring up right now while I'm already kind of depressed, but you remember Jack and Rose? Do you remember how they were friends? And like he taught her how to spit off the side of the boat, and they danced together down in that grungy little bar thing, and it was like friends. Like, you gotta, that's how love can be so strong, is because you just are friends with that person. And it's like, at the end of the day, when the romance is on hold, the like of that person reminds you, like, why you're even here. Like, I really like them. Like, I like that person. I really like that guy. I really like that girl. Like, she's cool. He is cool. And then, because of that passion of just liking a person like you did when it was innocent and easy as a child, the romance blooms from that. So please do yourself, your future children, your current children, like, do everybody a favor and like the person that you want to love. Know who you are before you get into it, so that you can stand up for yourself, and so that you know what your non-negotiables are, and you know what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to do, and what you're not willing to accept and not willing to do. And don't try, like I made the mistake of doing, to change someone so that you can fit, because that's not fair to them either. Let a person be who they are. You be who you are, and accept the ugly truth that it just might not be your person. Hopefully, if I can do anything right in this life, I can live authentically and unapologetically and be myself. And maybe I will get lucky or be blessed, and I will find a guy who appreciates me and likes me and loves me, and I will get the opportunity to do that for him. Maybe not, but at least I can say I was honest. Always. So, the solution to all of this: know yourself, like yourself, get to know your person and like them. Make sure you like them. Don't force yourself. Actually, naturally like them. I think that's a good start. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't settle. Wait and know that we're all trying to figure out this game of life. So, take your time. What's meant to be will find you. Thank you guys so much for watching. And it's getting darker, and I'm feeling this crazy need to cry all of a sudden. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. But try to look at everything like a lesson. That's what I'm doing with this past year of my life. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that this somewhat helped. Maybe if you are going through something similar, if you're questioning yourself, if you're questioning how you're feeling about certain situations in a relationship you have, if you're not sure if you should stay or go, if you're not sure if you're overreacting or if you are, you know, underreacting, maybe this is that sign for you. Thanks again, and I will be back with another video very soon. Until then, love you guys.